Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. This is IMAX Sports with another football video, and today I'm doing a brand new daily series on the channel between now and the beginning of the NFL season, where I'll be going over every single team I think has a chance to win Super Bowl 57. That includes a grand total of, I believe, 18 teams. So for the next 18 days, I'll be posting one video a day on a team I think has a chance of winning Super Bowl 57. We're going to be starting off with the Steelers, and we'll be ending with the team that I think has the best chance to win the Super Bowl. So let's get right into it. With the Pittsburgh Steelers, the first major point of emphasis I wanted to make was Mitch Trubisky. Since 2017, the Bears with Mitch Trubisky are 29-21, a very respectable record, and I believe he's over 600 since 2018. I believe that 2017 he had a below 500 record, but since 2018 he's been extremely strong. Without Trubisky, the Bears are 10-21 in that time frame. There hasn't been any significant changes in their roster in the games he didn't play, so he's won about 3 times as many games and has a 3 times as good a record with the Bears as the Bears do without him. He also has 2 playoff appearances with no real weapons on the Bears, and he's had a fairly impressive career so far, even though people don't give him the credit that he's deserved yet. Next, we have Naji Harris. Naji Harris, another player that I think that he did get some credit last year. Obviously, he was a rookie. I believe he did make the Pro Bowl as a rookie, which is impressive. He had a very phenomenal rookie season. His rookie season was very comparable to those of Alvin Kamara, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, so on and so forth. If you look at the comparison between their stats, Naji Harris had 1,700 yards and 10 touchdowns last year between rushing and receiving. A lot of these other players had similar yards their first year. Kamara had 1,600 yards and 13 touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor had 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns. And Christian McCaffrey was the lowest at 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. But they're all fairly comparable. And then in their second seasons, and then in McCaffrey's third season, obviously, they all had extreme increases. Kamara's wasn't as extreme. He had a similar number of yards, but he increased his touchdowns to 18. Jonathan Taylor increased from 1,500 yards to 2,200 yards and 20 touchdowns. And Christian McCaffrey went from 1,107 touchdowns to 1,965 and 13 touchdowns. I don't remember whether or not the Panthers made the playoffs in 2018. I think that if they did, they probably got it in the first round. But I know the Saints had a phenomenal team in 2018. They went, I think, 13-3. And the Colts last year almost made the playoffs. They had a very strong showing. Naji Harris obviously was a rookie last year. He did make the Pro Bowl, which only one other player on this list did their rookie year, Alvin Kamara, and I think that he has a very promising outlook for next year. Considering most of his yards and touchdowns do come from the ground, that makes him slightly different than Kamara and Christian McCaffrey, closer to a Jonathan Taylor-like player, but I think that also gives him a higher ceiling, because players like Jonathan Taylor and Naji Harris are more consistent, in my opinion, because they're the consistent ground force on the team. And I think that Naji Harris, in addition to Mitch Trubisky, is going to be an amazing combination. Mitch Trubisky this season has Naji Harris. He also has Deontay Johnson, who was arguably who was a Pro Bowler last year. So he has 2 Pro Bowl weapons. He has Chase Claypool, who, although he has a TikTok account, is a formidable wide receiver. And their offensive line they're trying to fit their pieces together for the offensive line. I think that the Steelers' offense isn't going to be like a top 10 offense, but it's definitely going to be a mid-tier offense. And I think that it has potential to explode with the combination between Deontay Johnson, Mitch Trubisky, and Naji Harris. Probably a floor around 16, ceiling around maybe top 10, arguably 7 or 8 if they can really fit things together. The real reason why the Steelers are a Super Bowl contender is their defense. The Steelers' defense is getting better and stronger every year, and Mike Tomlin has done a phenomenal job with the defense over the last 17 years. Tomlin's been there, I think, 15 seasons of their 17 or 18-year 500 or more streak, and Mike Tomlin has never had a losing record. That being said, I think that the Steelers are going to be at least a borderline playoff team in the AFC. And I think that they arguably could be better depending on how the defense responds to Mitch Trubisky. TJ Watt has been the best defensive player in the league for the last 2 seasons. He didn't get Defensive Player of the Year in 2021 because of injuries, but last year he was able to get it and almost broke the record for sacks if he wasn't injured again. And that Steelers defense has been a top 10 defense pretty much every year for the last 10 years. The Steelers defense is probably one of the most consistent forces in the NFL, except for arguably the Patriots defense. And I think that the combination of that and defense wins championships. So even if the offense doesn't explode as much as some people think it might, the defense can still bring a mediocre to pretty strong offense, not only to the playoffs but deep into the playoffs. I think that the Steelers have a decent chance to win their division. I don't think that anyone in their division is extremely better than anyone else. The Bengals did make the Super Bowl last year, but their record was only 10-7. The Steelers were 9-6-1. The Ravens missed the playoffs because Lamar Jackson was injured a lot, and there's a lot of question marks surrounding their team coming up this season. And the Browns are missing Deshaun Watson, their starting quarterback, for the first 11 games of the season. So I don't see the Browns making the playoffs in any capacity. I think that the Bengals and Ravens are both going to be very strong, but I think that the Steelers have an okay chance to make it out of their division, also considering they don't have to play the number 1 seeds like the Bengals do. The Bengals need to play the Bills. They need to play Kansas City. They need to play the Titans. The Steelers don't need to play all those teams. They need to play the Patriots, the Colts, and the Chargers. Patriots and Colts are going to be very strong, but they're not going to be as good as the Bills and the Chiefs. And then the Chargers, I think, are the most questionable team considering they have the most changes. They could be amazing or they could be awful. I don't think that they could be awful, but they could be amazing or they could be mid. And because of how strong the AFC is, I think that even if they don't win their division, they'll have a better chance of getting a wild card slot than a lot of the teams in the AFC West with how tough their division is and how many games they're going to have to lose in order to just finish all the games. So I think the Steelers have a pretty solid chance to make the playoffs, and then if they do make the playoffs, then I can see Mitch Trubisky doing really well, having an actual defense and actual weapons on his team at the same time, and maybe not having his kicker miss a game-winning field goal. So, that being said, I think that the Steelers might not have the best chance, but they definitely have a very solid chance to win Super Bowl 57 this season, all things considered. I'm excited to watch them play. I'm excited to see Mike Tomlin coach without Ben Roethlisberger. He did it a few years ago, and I think that this year, with a new young quarterback, the Steelers have a very promising team, and they'll be a very fun team to watch. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Peace.